Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host Mike Lepre, here with my co-host Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, now we're going to segue a little bit to a new type of episode we haven't done yet. We're going to talk about the current state of baseball in this episode. A little different from what we've been talking about with player-centric episodes and stadium-centric episodes. We're going to talk a little bit more about where we think the game is currently, where we think it's going, what we think is good with the league, what we think is bad with the league, just generally how things have changed since we were watching as a kid and since the old days of baseball, and whether we think the new things that we're seeing in the game are good, whether we see them as more of a negative. And we've got a few topics here that we want to cover. There's a whole plethora of topics that we could talk about with current baseball stuff, but some of those things leak into other sports. So we try to keep it a little bit closer to baseball-centric stuff. So the first thing that we should talk about, especially with hopefully the new season here on the horizon, we should talk about the new rules that are being implemented and proposed rules that have been rumored, specifically like the playoff format stuff that was a rumor going around. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the new rules, Frank?
Yeah, I'd say obviously baseball has been changing as so many of the other sports. New rules coming in for certain reasons and viewership reasons, and all crazy ideas. But some of the rules they've changed recently, obviously, if you want to go back a few years, they put replay in. They put in this year. They put in three batter minimum for pitchers. They put in the slide rules at second base. Put in no contact or plowing over the catcher at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
They put in a lot of rules recently. Work with the in between innings pitch clock. The idea of a more prominent pitch clock throughout the game. They recently brought back the bullpen carts.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of them for a while. There's been a lot of rules. They got rid of the waiver wire deadline at the end of August. They extended the rosters this year.
Yep.
Playoffs obviously have changed a few years back with the extra wild card team. So they've done a lot of things in the recent years, and some of them have been good. Some of them have been, not so good, and some of them we haven't seen yet. I mean, I don't want to go into all of them because it would take too long. But
Mm-hmm.
I think replays have been good.
Yep.
That's been a good thing for baseball. I think they still have to perfect it though.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it should be. I believe it should be like a three replay minimum,
Mm-hmm.
where the umpires watch it three times. They watch it once slow mo. They watch it once, or maybe twice in slow mo, once normal speed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't come with an answer at that point, then it stays the same call. I would keep that process quicker. I believe they should add to what they can replay as well. Um, I think the idea that you could replay a fair or foul ball in the outfield, but you can't replay a fair or foul ball in the infield that's just not smart. All in all, I think replays have been good. I think the slide rule is idiotic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a terrible rule. Impacts so many games just because one guy slid into a base hard and the guy got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously hurt, I should say. And we got to change the rule for that. Doesn't make sense. And why just second base? Why sliding to third base hard? Is there a problem with that? No. Run
Mm-hmm.
into the catcher at the plate. It doesn't make sense either. I can't run into the catcher at the plate,
Mm-hmm.
but I can run into the guy at first base. The catcher, I believe the catcher idea, alternating is not bad. We can't just run over him for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a play at the plate. But to change it all together, and then no one really knows the rule. Some of the times the runners just give up because they don't even know if they're allowed to hit them or not. It's just not a great thing. I think that was really bad. But some of the newer rules you're going to see this year once the season gets started with the three batter minimum.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a terrible idea, especially in September when there's a lot of pitchers on the roster.
Yeah.
Definitely not a terrible idea. I'm not a fan of going from the 1 to 3. I think it should have just been 2.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been 2 batter minimum. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that that keeps them pitchers in the league. Those guys who are kind of so-called specialists.
Mm-hmm.
Making them go 3 batters. I don't think I think that's making too much of a jump too quick.
Mm.
Maybe they should have went with 2 batters. I think extending the roster by 1 player was good, and not just by 1 player, by 1 position player.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be an extra pitcher; it has to be an extra position player, which I
Yeah.
think is really good. So I mean, there's definitely been some rules. I think the pitch clock idea is idiotic too.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
big on
just
that.
stupid. I think in between pitch clock, yes. In between innings, yes.
Yeah.
That worked well. I like that. To have impact on the game, like, oh, you went past your 30 seconds, it's a ball now. That's idiotic. That's literally changing the whole game. That's like changing the whole game. That's like changing the constitution of baseball. You just changed the whole thing. You can't. Why would you do that? Playoff formats, I think, are terrible.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. I think
Yeah.
those new ideas were just for people to talk about other things in baseball than what was going on in the off season. I think the wild card format they made now is good. You know, there's a lot going on. You know, there's a lot going on in baseball. The possible DH going to the National League. I think you're going to see that, especially with this shortened season. I think it's going to come this year, and it's never going to go away. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I'm not a fan of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a terrible idea. There's a lot going on in baseball. There's a lot of new rules, a lot of new ideas. I think some of them are just they're changing the game too much, or the way the game looks, and that's not how it should be. Just leave the game the way it is and make small changes. The sliding thing is makes no sense. I mean, at some point, I think, and I said this, you remember years ago. At some point, I think there's going to be a breakaway base at first base.
Yeah.
There's going to be a white bag for the player and an orange bag for the runner, like you see in Little League at sometimes and in softball, stuff like that. I think the league's going to go there at some point because there's so much about safety and, someone could get hurt once or twice, so we got to change the whole game. Tejada getting hurt at shortstop or at second base with the slide rule changed the whole game.
Yeah.
Suppose you get hurt at the plate, changing the whole game. I mean,
Mm.
these are small incidents, or single incidents, I should say, that change the game.
Mm.
I think, too, you might see the home run trot go away. I think you might see someone home run and you just go touch first. That's it.
Kind of like
Let's say there's
softball.
3 home runs in the game and there's 20 seconds. There's 20 seconds a home run trot and there's 3 home runs. You just cut a whole minute out because all I care about is minutes and time.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some good things in baseball, but there's definitely some things with this pace of play that are really impacting the game and are really are just stupid.
Mm.
And I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of a lot of them, but there are some rules they changed that are for the better, and I agree with. So I'm not sure. What do you think with some of these rules? I know we just talked about like 7, 8 different rules, but just overall, what do you think about some of these things?
There's some things I like and some things I don't. I think generally they're doing a little too much. Obviously, the replay rule, them putting that in was fantastic. I think overall it's been a success. There's still problems, but hell, the NFL still has problems with their replays. So I mean, it's not going to go away, but it's definitely better. So I like the replay rule. I like the wild card format they got now with the 1-game wild card playoff. It adds a little bit extra opportunity for other teams. I know baseball is kind of a sport where it's kind of sacrilege to have a 1-game elimination, but I do kind of like it. As time goes on, I kind of like it a little more. I'm not in love with it. Like if they changed it, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I do like it. So stuff like that I like. Even smaller stuff like changing the home run derby format was fantastic.
Yeah.
Even that's a small impact on the game, but it makes the home run derby so much more exciting.
Well, to go along with that, you get the All-Star game that they changed. That's something that
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it.
something I wasn't a real big fan of. I mean, it does make some sense, but it also takes the intensity, I think, out of the All-Star game. Not that the game hasn't been intense since they done that, but it just takes the impact of that game out. And it was something that made their All-Star weekend a little bit more different than some of the other sports.
Yeah, it made the baseball All-Star game special.
It's like 50-50. I mean, I would like it to go back, but I don't mind it where it's at. So it's...
Yeah. I leave a little bit more to wishing that it was kind of the old way. I like that the All-Star game had some stakes to it. But at the same time, like you said, that's not the hill I'm going to die on, But some other stuff, just real quick, stuff that you mentioned that I'm not crazy about. Anything that has to do with trying to speed up the game, they go overboard with that stuff. I think that, as you'll see, games have gotten a little quicker, a little bit, but they're still not quick enough to where you're really attracting any more fans. Like, oh, baseball's a quicker sport now. Like, no,
by 1 minute.
yeah, it doesn't. For me, the benefit doesn't it doesn't help how much you're changing the game. So, I'm not crazy about all that stuff. The three pitcher thing, it hasn't been. I haven't seen it. Obviously, well, no one has. Or the three out thing. I don't know how to feel about it yet. I'll wait until see how it impacts the game. I'm kind of reserving my judgment to see what the actual impact is. My initial reaction is, I'm 50-50. So stuff like that, there are some good, there's some bad. But overall, I think that, the game's progressing, and it's just this new era that we're in. And I think that that's just going to be the way things are. I mean, actually, wanted to mention a few other things you mentioned with the sliding to second and hitting the catcher. I don't hate that they're trying to, well, I don't know that anyone does, but I like that they're trying to keep the players safe. But I think that's another thing they just go a little overboard with. You should still be able to slide hard into second base, and if the catcher's in the way of the plate, you should be able to knock into him. But if it's egregious, like you're just going to hurt someone, you should be fined and suspended. That's just the way it is. I don't see why you just can't do it. I don't. And like you said, so what's second base is fine, but what if you just go and step on the first baseman's leg at first base, or what if you just slide hard into third base? I mean, it's just like, I don't know. So the rules seem a little weird in that regard. I like a little bit harder play, but that's just the way the game is now. That people like playing a little softer.
Yeah, and I mean, to go along with that too, it's just the pace of play rules have just been. It's just too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much. What's wrong with the game being 3 hours and 2 minutes compared to being 2 hours? It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you talk player safety, but then force a pitcher to pitch to three batters? I don't know how you could do that. And then pace of play. They want a home run derby into the 12th inning.
Yeah.
What is that? Just let them play. Because I don't know about you, but watching a 24 inning game, I think it's fantastic. I think it's unbelievable that the game just keeps going and going. I mean, the Cardinals and Mets, they used to do it every year. They used to play 17, 18 innings. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think
it's just an exciting time. And a position player gets to pitch maybe at the end. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, but to make that big of an impact on the game, change the game that much, why don't we just take the rules that we already have and just apply them, like the balk.
Yeah.
Because a lefty could just do what he wants. That's fine. But the third was the third to first rule, or third to first pickoff. They got rid of that. But the lefty, who's supposed to be at a certain angle to be able to do a pick off the first base, he could step all the way home and throw the ball to first to pick somebody off. I mean, how about the catcher's balk?
Yeah, you don't see that at all.
I mean, they got rid of it now because of intentional walks. That's another rule that they changed that I'm not a fan of. Not making them throw the pitches. I'm not a fan of that. But there used to be a catcher's balk too, where if the catcher moved out of his
crouch,
and there used to be like a catcher's box essentially back there. If he moved out of it too fast, it would be the same as a pitcher's balk. So I mean, there's rules out there that people don't really know about at all that we don't follow. Why don't we just follow those rules before we start making these other crazy rules to follow?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think baseball has done a pretty good job in updating some certain things, but there's been some ideas and some rules they put in that have been just boneheaded, severely boneheaded. It's not like, it's like, this is idiotic. And the slide rule, the catcher rule, the possibility of the home run derby, the playoffs, that new playoff thing they were talking about, like that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's how bad it is. But some of the other stuff has been good. Replay, and working more towards player safety, has been better. The nets protecting the fans, that's a new thing too. I mean, there's stuff like that it is better. But there's a lot of stuff that they're doing. It's just it's
questionable at best.
Yeah, I mean, the sport's been around for since 1800s, 1870s.
Yeah.
Let's not change the core of the game for 2 minutes.
I agree. And I think that segues kind of nicely into the next thing we want to talk about, because that the head of all this is the man at the head of baseball that is making a lot of these changes and trying to push a lot of these changes, Mr. Rob Manfred. So I think that his reputation has kind of gone down the tank in the last, say, 6 months. He's reaching Goodell territory, which I don't even know how that's possible. So I know you've got a lot to say about Manfred. So why don't you go ahead, and I think you'll speak for both of us kind of on this one.
Yeah, Mr. Manfred has been awful, to say the least. To say the least, he's been awful.
Yeah.
Some of his ideas, like we just mentioned, have been awful. His handling of certain situations, not so much some of the domestic violence issues that a couple of baseball players have had. I think he's done he did okay with them. Not much to complain about there. The way he handled the Astros is the biggest embarrassment I think baseball's seen since the Black Sox scandal. I think the mishandling that has been unbelievable. I believe the way he held off on giving the Red Sox information until baseball was kind of talking about coming back here soon. I thought that wasn't real smart either. I thought that was something that you could have released a couple weeks ago, when everyone not really talking about sports at all. You could have kind of hid it. I think that would have been good for baseball. Kind of hide it, not hide it, but you could have kind of released it without anyone really having much to talk about it. But the way he handled the Red Sox thing can't be too upset with that one. But the Astros one's been terrible.
Yeah.
Obviously, continuing to keep Pete Rose and Shulistro out of the Hall of Fame. I mean, the way he's handled the minor leagues, he wants to cut a bunch of teams out of the minor leagues, and the minor league players are still getting paid like under minimum wage. I mean, he's just not doing a good job. He's not doing a good job at all. And then to come out and say that the MLB World Series trophy is just a piece of metal.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I mean, it's not just a piece of metal. If you want to go by that, then money's just paper, and contracts are just a piece of paper with your name on it.
Yeah.
A bat's just a log ripped off a tree.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you run the league and be that stupid? That's just downright what he is. He's just stupid. With a stupid look on his face all the time. And I don't think he's ever even played a sport.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know, because he doesn't know what to say. He just gets up there and he's just bumbling along. He's up there talking. He doesn't know. He's been bad. Yeah, I think he has gone close to Goodell territory. I think Goodell was more put in a harder spot because of his nature of his sport. He's kind of in a tough area there. I think Manfred, the sport's there. I think he just keeps messing with it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and this is his big his big thing was this cheating scandal. Just like Selig's big thing was a steroid issue. Really, no matter what he does from here on out, he messed that up. So he's automatically just messed everything up.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, you come from Selig, who I didn't hate the guy, but I wasn't a big fan of. He screwed up the steroid thing, which, is a stain on his legacy. But I think overall Selig probably did a pretty good job. He stayed the course after that and tried righting his wrong with the steroid thing and not making too many changes like Manfred's doing. But I think that's Manfred's big mistake here is, messing with the game too much. And not only that, like you said, say he does all that, but he gets it right with the cheating scandal with the Astros. Then you can kind of say, well, not all is forgiven, but at least, hey, he's got a firm grasp on the reality of the game and the reality of what they did. But then, like you said, he called the trophy just a piece of metal, and he just kind of gave the Astros a slap on the wrist. So for me personally, I wasn't a big fan of the guy, but that kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I'm not a big fan of him and his decision making, and I think that you need someone in there that can really make the tough decisions, because he did not make the tough decision. He made the safe one.
Yeah, I mean, he says all the wrong things.
Yeah, certainly.
Done a lot of bad things so far for baseball. Definitely outweigh the good he's done. I do want to give the guy some credit. He has done some good things. Like I said, some of those rules and playing the games at the college, the Little League World Series, scheduled games. I thought they were pretty cool. The London Japan series, not huge on, but it's not a terrible idea. The Field of Dreams one I thought was going to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, some of the rules we already talked about. So, I mean, he's done some things that have been good, but just the way he goes about things, and when he's in public, when he's talking, you almost get that feel that he's one way when he's talking, and he's another way when he's not. Like the piece of metal thing. You can almost feel like, oh, he said that. That's how he really meant. That's what he really feels. And then he said sorry, and you're like, oh, he just said that because he's just, stressed out and all this big situation going on. But behind closed doors, I really feel like that's how he feels. And I think that he needs to work on getting these minor leaguers paid, and he needs to work on not shortening the game of baseball, into them crazy standards, but find a way to build baseball back up through the little leagues, through, youth baseball. I mean, he's the commissioner of baseball. I don't know about you, but he's the commissioner of baseball. So he should be figuring out a way to get youth baseball back growing, and work with those kind of things instead of messing with Major League Baseball so much. And I think that would really maybe turn his so far short tenure around.
Yeah. I don't know, what else you could do. I think that would be a good thing to get young people more interested in the game, because a lot of younger people are more interested in football. Is obviously the kind of the glorious sport right now, even with its injury problems and stuff like that. Basketball is obviously a very popular sport right now. So like you said, if he could get baseball more in the public eye with kids and with parents and stuff, I think that would be fantastic. But I think if he just did the bare minimum with changing the game, and I think that if he slowed it down a little, and I don't want him to overcorrect and start changing things back the other way too much, but I think that if he just slowed it down a little and just kind of kept the game running how it is, I think that, he wouldn't be like a super memorable, super innovative commissioner, but I mean, you got to give him credit for trying to, keep the great game as it is. So I think if he slows down a little bit and if he handled that Astros scandal a little bit better, I think he'd be fine. But
I think I also think that one big thing we missed so far, the idea of robo umps is awful.
Oh yeah,
man. I think that would ruin baseball.
Yeah, I actually hate that idea. That's
unbelievably idiotic. That's like that. You can't have baseball or any sport be officiated by nothing. How could you? It's just not right. How could you have a umpire? That means you're having a strike zone. Where's your actual strike zone? Because what's it? Knees to the letters is supposed to be the strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
So is that going to be your strike zone for that robo ump? So if it touches the top of the strike zone all the way up by the letters, you're going to call that? Just have the umpires do it. Have umpires. You have replay system. You have the umpires. You have this technology that can show strikes and balls and was it a good call? Was it a bad call? Okay, use that. Be like, look, this umpire has missed 5% of his calls. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got Angel Hernandez out here missing 79% of his calls. Oh, okay. You're fired. You're not an umpire anymore. Go ump Little League. Like, I don't know. Let's worry about those things. Robo umps. I mean, where are we? Why don't we have a drone center fielder?
Yeah.
Out there catching the center field. I mean, what are we doing? Just leave the damn game alone. It went 150 years without you messing with it.
Yeah.
Just fine. Worry about the stuff behind the scenes. Minor league baseball and little league and youth baseball. The cheating scandals and steroids and stuff that's like still impacting our game. Drugs, domestic violence, stuff like that. Why don't you worry about that stuff? And the actual game itself, let's not worry about too much, because that's gonna be fine. Way past my lifetime, way past anyone's lifetime. It's gonna just continue to go.
Yeah, if anyone has seen the videos, I know me and you have seen the videos of some of the with the robo umps, some of the calls in the in the minor leagues where they still have an umpire back there, and it buzzes if it's a strike, or I believe it buzzes if it's a strike, and it doesn't if it's a ball.
Right.
And there's some videos out there, like the one I'm thinking of in my head. There's this kid threw a curveball, and it kind of went in the dirt. The catcher had to really move his body and catch the ball, and it was nowhere near a strike. It was just about at the bottom. Like I said, it hit the dirt, and they called it a strike because technically, when it crossed the plate, it was a strike. And stuff like that is what I'm very scared of, and I hate the robo ump idea, and I hope that never ever infiltrates this sport or any sport.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, how could you be so stupid to let's use more technology after you just had the biggest cheating scandal involving technology? So let's
Yeah,
you're telling me there's not somebody out there who can hack that system and ball, 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 ball. There's
yeah.
not somebody out there who could do that.
Oh, I'm
Put more
sure.
technology in. Like the idea of having the players' microphone during the game, spring training, I loved it. I thought it was cool. It's funny.
Hmm?
But to have it in a real game, you're going to give them a microphone in a real game, add more technology. Did you not see what just happened?
Yeah,
It's not a good idea.
yeah,
Spring training, yeah, all-star game, cool, whatever.
yeah. It's a
But
loose
in a
environment.
game, it's just stupid. It's
Yeah,
just stupid.
I
Um,
agree.
just have a hot mic in the dugout.
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
tell me there's not funny things or cool things someone can say in the dugout, because I'm sure there's a lot going
I
on in
mean,
that dugout.
yeah. I mean, it would be fun to, and like you said, with spring training and all star games, it's kind of a loose environment. So you could get away with guys just kind of running around and having a good time. But in a real game, it's not. Like you said, a mic in the dugout would be fun because I know that there's some camaraderie in the dugout. That would be funny to hear. So, do you have anything else on Manfred, or you want to move on to the next topic?
No, just all in all, it's not good. I don't like looking at him, and I don't like listening to him. That's pretty much where I'm at with him.
Yeah, he's got to do better. I don't think that he's beyond me liking him. I think that if he starts now, starting with this season, if he does this season right, and he continues on and he makes the right decisions, I think he'll be okay. I think that it's going to be a long, hard road ahead of him, but I'm not against. I mean, he's the commissioner of baseball. It's kind of like the president. You want him to do good. So with the next topic, we're going to move a little away from the new rules and Manfred and all that new age stuff. But let's move on to a topic that kind of infiltrates a little bit of all sports, but baseball in particular has been a little bit rampant, I'd say. The art of a team tanking, I think, has been a little bit rampant lately. I think that there's a big divide in these so-called super teams, they're calling them, and intentionally tanking a season to be able to get draft picks and be able to kind of rebuild. So what do you think about? I know that you actually proposed this topic for the conversation, so why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I think baseball and even football to a degree, it's hard to kind of build that super team,
Yeah,
not that super where it's like, well, that team's, you know, they're gonna win.
yeah, almost like the
Uh,
Warriors of the last few seasons in basketball.
yeah, I think basketball, yeah, obviously is probably the easiest of sports to pull that team together.
Yeah,
Football, a 53-man roster. I mean, football, especially, is such a rough nature to it. Baseball as well, because I mean, you don't really have to have nowhere really near the best team to win the World Series.
yeah.
You just kind of get hot at the right time. But the idea also with tanking is how many draft picks in baseball, I mean, were awful.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Even football, for that matter.
Mm.
Really all the sports. But I mean, especially baseball. I think there's what's Ken Griffey Jr. is the only number one overall pick to make the Hall of Fame.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
believe that's. I mean, look at that. Look at that right there. Number one pick should it's supposed to be like a guarantee.
yeah.
Baseball is so hard to draft, and you don't see these players for, well, recently it's more of like a 2-year thing. You don't see some of these players, but it used to be 5, 6 years you don't see them.
Mm.
The draft wasn't even televised. You know,
Mm.
it's more of a thing now, but I mean, it's just such a hard idea to tank in baseball, but it's been done. I mean, the Cubs are bad for 5 years to get
Mm.
some of these players. You got to be smart. You got to make sure you get your guy. You get
Oh
your
yeah.
5, 6 guys,
Mm-hmm.
and a free agent here or there, and a couple signings, and a couple of good draft picks, and it could be done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Astros as well, 5 years or so. I mean, a bad baseball. I mean, bad.
Yeah, terrible.
Like, over 100 losses. It's something that you really can't stop,
Mm.
and it's a shame because really I think if you look at it, a different perspective on it is the ownership way they do it. It really doesn't hurt the owner at all because you could say, oh, if they have a bad team, no one comes to watch them. That's true,
Mm.
but he's not paying the players as much. If you don't pay the players as much, you're saving money in your pocket.
Mm.
You're not making as much, but you're not spending as much. But if you start spending a bunch of money to keep some of these players or to spend on these players, all right, you're spending more money, but you're making more money. So the owners are really in a win-win situation.
Oh yeah.
It really comes down to, do you actually care about winning? Do you
Mm.
care about your players, your franchise, your fans,
Yeah.
or you care about the money? And that's it's really just a weird topic, especially with baseball, because baseball's so unpredictable. I think it's bound to happen. I think it's always kind of been happening. It's just like in the past, there was rules implemented to make these teams start spending a certain amount of money.
Mm.
Some of these teams were just tanking, but weren't actually trying to get better. And I could think of, like the Royals was an example there, like the 90s and stuff like that. I know Steinbrenner had an issue where he wanted the teams to spend a certain amount of money because he was with the tax luxury when that came in. If you're going to tax the teams that are spending all this money, then the teams that the money is going to need to spend a certain amount of money. So that's when that rule started coming, kind of coming into play.
Yeah.
But tanking's definitely something hard. It's hard to stop. I don't think it's really not a bad idea if you're a team that's on the border of even being a playoff team. I mean, you're going to keep spending and spending and spending to do nothing. You could trade these guys away and get picks and then rebuild. I think it's something that needs to be done more quick, a quicker fashion. White Sox, look at
Yeah.
their turnaround. Look at the
Mm-hmm.
Yankees kind of, retooling, I should say, with the Yankees. It
Yeah.
never
They didn't
really
even
was
tank.
that, but you see them do it. You kind of seen Boston do it with
Yeah.
the Adrian Gonzalez trade, and all of a sudden they're good again. The idea of making it like the Cubs or the Astros, where it's on 5, 6 years, that can't happen, and it's so risky because
It is very risky.
2 of them prospects turn into nothing, or 2 of them turn to really nothing, and then 1 of them turns into okay. Hopefully, you come out to maybe 500 where you started. So it's a touchy thing. The idea of trading some of your better players on expired contracts is not bad. It's not a bad idea to get
Yeah.
some prospects. It's just the idea, let's make this process quicker. And let's keep your players when you draft them. That's the bigger thing.
Yeah.
Look at the Indians,
Yeah.
possibly getting rid of Lindor. I mean, let's keep your players. Let's rebuild your team. That's fine. If you're going to do it, all right, cool. To rebuild it, but sign them. Keep the team. Look at the Royals. Oh, we were good for 3-4 years. Up, now we're done.
Yeah. We got a ring.
Yeah, now we're done. Oh, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have money. You don't have money. Every team has money. Every
Mm-hmm.
single team has money to spend to keep these players. Maybe not every single one.
Yeah.
You definitely have enough money to keep the core around. And I remember, I'll never forget that. It reminds me with Markakis when he left the Orioles. He said something. They said, why you were with the Orioles for so long? Why'd you leave and stuff like that? And he said it was a money thing. And I believe, I'm not sure exactly what he said. Don't want to quote it, but he essentially said they have money. These teams have money. That's not the big reason. So these teams have money. Especially there's certain teams out there, the Mets, who say they don't have money. I mean, give me a break. You're in New York. You got money.
Yeah.
Look at the Dodgers. They've been spending money like crazy for 6, 7, 8 years now. Some of these teams, they might have more. Dodgers, Yankees, they might have more.
Oh yeah.
But tell me that the Royals don't have money to spend to keep 4 of their players instead of 2 of their players is stupid. Or a team like Oakland, they have money. And I think we're going to see it a little bit more with Matt Chapman and Matt Olson. They're going to keep some of these guys around. So I think tanking it's going to happen. It's not a terrible idea. The total rebuild, the 5, 6 year plans are not good. It's risky. The quick rebuilds, the quick turnarounds are fine. I just think that when they rebuild, they need to find a way to keep these players.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my biggest thing with tanking. It's all fine and dandy, but you got to find a way to keep these guys. Otherwise, you're just telling your fan base, we're going to rebuild every 5 years.
Yeah.
We're going to be bad for 5 years, and we're going to be good for 3 years.
Yeah, that's the trade-off.
And let's hope we win a World Series in those couple of years.
Yeah. It's a strange thing.
Yeah, it's definitely it's like I said, it's definitely a touchy topic and a weird thing, especially in baseball and even football. It's something that's going to happen. There's no way you can really stop it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not this isn't like a topic that I'm real like passionate about, because I understand why teams rebuild and why teams tank it sometimes. I mean, I get it, especially if you're a team like the Yankees who did that smart rebuild. They didn't even tank. They didn't even have a losing season during their quote unquote rebuild. If you can pull that off, that's the art of it right there, is keeping some of your stars around long enough and keeping some money flowing, getting some draft picks and being shrewd and getting your team competitive again. But like you said, to tank your team, get your team ready like the Royals, win the World Series, and then tank it again, it seems strange. And I understand that there's definitely a difference in money in between the A's and the Yankees. But like you said, the idea that the A's can't pay anyone or any premium players is a little bit overblown. Clearly, the teams like Yankees and Dodgers have an advantage. But I don't think that teams like that are at such a disadvantage that the whole Moneyball quote unquote thing came in. I don't think that a lot of teams have to live and die by that. I think that they could, like you say, keep a core around. But overall, I think that tanking is I think that the only sport that I think you could really, really benefit from is basketball, because that's a sport opposite of baseball where you get a draft pick, and generally, if you get a top draft pick, they're going to be good. Baseball, it's such a risk. You could, like you said, you get a number one pick. What does that mean sometimes? If you go back throughout the years and you see the number one picks, a lot of them don't even make the majors. They make the majors and they don't stick around. It's a weird thing to take such a gamble on players in the draft that, you got your best players sometimes going to the 12th, 13th, 14th round. Hell, Mike Piazza was the last pick. I mean, it's such a gamble, and I understand why teams do it, but it's a big gamble.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, football wise, it's hard for them to build a super team in football. But it's not hard to tank to get the draft picks.
Yeah.
And that's that's fine as long as it's a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
You just can't have this Astros Cubs thing for 5, 6, 7, years, and not just for that many years, but 6, 7, 8 teams doing it.
Yeah.
Let's say you get the Orioles not good right now. Okay, the Tigers. Okay. Yeah. What if you had the Royals and then you had the Mariners and the Rockies, and you got the Giants, and you got all these bad teams, Pirates, all of them just get rid of everybody.
Yeah, Marlins.
Just go full 120 game losses, like 120 losses almost.
Yeah.
110 losses. That's so bad.
Yeah.
It's not good. For 5 years. Imagine 5 years of that.
I know. I can't imagine as a fan base,
Yeah. It's just bad. I think the quick turnarounds, it's 2 years, 3 years at the most. If that's the case, and it's a safer process like the White Sox, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in. Yeah. And I'm in for trading for veteran guys or expiring contracts. They get prospects and to get, international money and stuff like that. I'm in for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not a big fan of the complete tank. Let's lose 130 games. Like, let's embarrass ourselves. Let's not even be able to catch a ball kind of baseball for 6 years. To hopefully have a super team for 4 years and then not sign anybody.
Yeah.
It's just like punching your fans right in the face. You're like, well, we gave you 3 years of good baseball. What do you what? We gave you 10 years of bad baseball. Remember them 3 good ones?
Yeah, remember we got that ring?
Maybe we got that ring.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully we got that ring.
Yeah.
You remember that? You remember that, right? Yeah, you remember. Yeah. Don't worry about the other 25 years where we haven't, won 5 games all year.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's I don't know. I think we're looking closer to the more quick turnaround zone baseball, and what I've seen, and I think that's good. And I'm fine with that.
I agree. More competition can only be better. instead of having teams like the Orioles and the Tigers just getting the crap beat out of them all year. So moving on to our next topic we got here. The next two topics kind of go into each other. We're going to save the best for last. But the next topic I wanted to talk about was star power in the game. In the sports world, you've got, basketball and football have such big megastars that are larger than life figures. Does baseball have those figures? They certainly were the sport to popularize figures like that with Babe Ruth and people like Joe DiMaggio and these larger than life characters. But where does baseball fare right now, you think? I mean, the guy that immediately comes to mind for me is Mike Trout. You've got a guy like Aaron Judge, almost quite literally larger than life. LA, you've got Cody Bellinger. You've got these guys that are big stars, but are they really, they're big stars in the game, but are they big stars, in pop culture? Are they big stars? Like, do people look at these guys as like real icons? What do you think? I don't think they're nearly as popular as some of these guys that are playing other sports.
I think baseball has done better in previous years, so they have gotten better. But yeah, they're behind.
Yeah.
Look at LeBron James's impact in the media and marketing and advertising, and in basketball's case, look at Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Hockey, it's hard because hockey is still really growing a base, still kind of building that foundation in the United States of being such a top sport. But it's, that's a little bit different. It's a little weird area there. But for basketball, football, and baseball really being dominating three sports, basketball has its players. Had Kobe, had Jordan. These guys were marketed. I mean, Jordan's still getting marketed. Look at this thing, this documentary. I mean, LeBron James. Where's baseball fall though? Because Mike Trout's one of the best baseball players you're going to see, and we don't really hear much about him.
Yeah.
And plays in L.A., which is West Coast, and he's from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So he's touched both coasts. You'd think he'd be huge. And here in Jersey, we don't hear much from him.
No.
We don't hear much from being on the East Coast, and then he plays on the West Coast, so we're especially not getting much from him then, that aspect. More marketing. I think the baseball needs to get him in commercials. It needs to, do these events. They got to get them in the home run derby. There's got to be stuff that they can do. There's got to be, the Olympics. I think would be fantastic for Major League players to go play in some sort of Olympics. World Baseball Classic. I think it'd be great to have these players play in it more. I think that those are things that would really help market them. But baseball needs to figure out a way to get Mike Trout on the commercials, and maybe not Mike Trout because it's more of his personality, but there's guys like Francisco Lindor. I mean, look at that smile, everyone talks about it all the time. And you got guys like Judge who people love. There's so many. Every team's got it. Look at Pete Alonso.
Oh yeah.
People would love to circle themselves with him, and just be diehard fans of his. But what does baseball do? Have you seen a Pete Alonso commercial? Have you seen a Lindor commercial? Unless you're watching maybe LB Eckert, they might have some quick one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they have endorsements. There's no endorsements. I think baseball needs to work on their advertising, and I think they need to work on their endorsements.
Yeah.
They need to get something to where it's like those signs on the outfield wall they got, they mean more. Hey, we're sponsored by, whatever company it is.
Yeah.
And look, we have 6 commercials with Mike Trout in it,
Yeah.
Pujols, for his dominant years. I mean, there's Ohtani. I mean, there's so much just so many superstars. Every team's got 2, 3, 4 superstars, but they're not in the spotlight.
Yeah.
They're just not in the spotlight. And I think it's hard with a 162 game schedule and the way baseball is just, it's a longer season.
Yeah.
It's such a long season. Some people don't jump in it, nonstop all year long. And they got to fight that battle, obviously. But in the dog days when there's no basketball and football hasn't started yet, there's no hockey, it's just baseball, they could dominate those months.
Oh yeah.
That's when they need to market. They don't need to market in basketball season. You don't need to advertise in basketball season or in the midst of football season. But those 4 months where there's nothing, that's where they need to nail it.
Yeah. Yeah, the dog days of summer. I mean, you've got a player like Mike Trout, who's probably one of the best players I've ever seen with my own eyes. He should be endlessly marketed. I mean, you've got someone like Tom Brady, who's probably the best quarterback. I mean, it's almost unanimous at this point. He's the best quarterback to ever play. And living in our generation, I mean, of course they're going to market the hell out of him. And he almost markets himself. He seems like a cool guy. Trout has a great personality. A guy like Aaron Judge is a great personality, like you said with Lindor. Lindor should be plastered on Nike posters and stuff like that. I just don't know why these players don't resonate. They have really, like I said, they have great personalities. They're very likable. I think it's because basketball and football in particular are a little bit flashier sports. I think football takes a lot less investment for people. I think the football is maybe its own beast with that. You only have to invest yourself once a week. It's very heavily focused in fantasy. I know everyone loves doing fantasy football. Even basketball, it's got a shorter season than baseball. It's a very flashy sport. It's a little bit more individualistic. It's just the nature of the beast, I think, with baseball.
Yeah, I think too with baseball is baseball stats don't jump out at you game by game. Where basketball, you can score 40 points and it jumps out.
Yeah.
Football, you run for 200 yards or throw for 500 yards. Crazy stuff. It jumps out at you.
Yeah.
Baseball, you don't have many games where you have 4 home runs. Yeah, that jumps at you. You throw a perfect game, that jumps out at you.
Yeah, but they're so rare.
But if you consistently go 1 for 3 with a walk, and your one hit was a base hit, it doesn't jump out at you. But hell, you're batting .333.
Yeah.
End of the year, those numbers jump out at you.
And hitting a baseball is almost a. Go ahead.
But day-to-day games are not jumping out at you too much, unless you're hitting a couple home runs or whatever. There's not that big jump out compared to scoring 40 points or having 20 rebounds or having 5 touchdowns or running for 200 yards. That stuff jumps out at you instantly while you're watching it. Well, 1 for 3 doesn't, but 1 for 3 added up 10, 15, 30 times. You're batting .333. That jumps out at you. So baseball is a sport where its stats add up at the end, and the numbers jump at the end, or in a month-to-month basis, stuff like that, compared to game-to-game basis. And I think that's big on its marketing and advertising too, because like, hey, let's advertise around this guy, and someone's watching. You went 1 for 3 with just a single up the middle. It's like, it's not exciting for that guy, but for us, diehard baseball fans, sure, it's exciting. Everything's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of the beast, the way baseball is. It's not for everyone. I get that. Hockey's very comparable in that way to baseball. It's not for everyone, and I get that. It's not, hockey stats don't jump out at you like baseball stats. It's definitely not as exciting as to watch LeBron drop 40 points and hit a buzzer beater, or have Tom Brady throw for like 4 or 5 touchdowns. It's not as exciting of a stat. I get exactly what you're saying. But these guys in baseball are great, have great personalities, and there's a lot of guys at the forefront of the sport that I think could really help propel the sport forward, especially in popularity. So,
and I think a big thing too would be I think Trout and Tom Brady personality-wise are similar. They're not flashy guys, but you see Brady's been advertised probably more in his later career. Getting more commercials and stuff, but it's been done. Peyton Manning, I mean, look where he's at, and go back farther. I mean, look at Joe Namath. I mean, guys like that. I mean, they've been blown out of the water, But there's a way to do it. There's ways to do it and to get better. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be passing LeBron or Jordan, stuff like that. It's not going to be done. But there's a way to increase it. And I think that baseball needs to help, and I think baseball needs to help the teams that they're on. Like Arenado with the Rockies. If Arenado's with the Yankees, with the Mets, with the Dodgers, it's easy. It's easier for him.
Yeah.
With the Rockies, it's harder. Especially Trout not really being in the playoffs for Trout with his Angels. That hurts. It doesn't help. Yeah. But there's a way that baseball definitely can step in and help them and kind of guide these teams into popularizing these guys. And I think you see it a little bit by the fact that some of these prospects are getting these big names and getting this popularity. I think
Yeah.
that's been a big step. Then people are like, hey man, this guy's up, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s up, man. That's pretty cool. Let's go
Yeah.
watch. All of a sudden it grows. So I think they've taken that step, but you don't really think about it unless you really look at it and you really break it down. That's when you start thinking about it.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to break through for some of the advertising there and to break through pop culture. I think that's going to be really hard, but it can be done. And I think that baseball's got the players to do it, and they've got the brands to do it with just the Yankees and the Dodgers. You get a World Series like that could help baseball too. So the last topic, going into coming from star power and going into what these guys have been showing on the field. So what do you think of the latest trend in the bat flipping and the showmanship, and where we're at with the game with that? Because as we talk so greatly about all these players and how great they are for the sport and how outgoing and friendly they are, but there are some guys and some trends that I'm not a huge fan of, that brings out maybe a little bit worse personalities in the sport. So what do you think of the showmanship and the over flashiness?
Yeah, and I think these things are we're in a weird spot with this because we want more marketing and we want more advertisement for players, but we don't like the fact that they're throwing the bat to the dugout and going crazy.
Yeah.
We're just not we don't like that. We're not big fans of that.
No.
But that does seem to be a way to market people. And I listen, if you want to flip the bat, you want to throw it in the dugout, you want to ride it like a horse around the bases, that's fine. But don't be mad when that next pitch comes up and in. And
Yeah.
don't be mad when the pitcher yells over there like, "Come on, let's go. You're taking 6 days around the bases. Don't be mad at that." And I think that could be a big way to market too. You got a guy like Javier Baez, flinging his bat and doing this, doing his home run strut around the bases, and you got a guy on the mound, like Chris Sale, that's going, come on, go around the bases, let's go. Next at bat, he buzzes them.
Mm.
Now you got a little rivalry. Now you got a little, momentum. You got a little tension. They're going to see each other again. Especially division rivals. That stuff is, could help. But personally, I don't like bat flips. I'm not much for the flashiness. If you want to do it, just be prepared. But yeah, Tim Anderson throwing the bat, Jose Bautista, I thought that was so bad. But then look what happened. Odor punched him, and everyone loved it, and it was marketing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a flashy guy. I like the game old fashioned. I like the game just played. You don't show anybody up. If you want to do it, that's fine. Just be prepared. And I think you're in a similar spot where I am, where we're old fashioned viewers or fans. We don't want the game changing too much. We don't want the players changing too much. We don't want the style, the flashiness. We just want the game in its true form.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where me and you were at, and I think that's where kind of most of our friend groups at, and most scenarios. And that's why we are such good friends and such good baseball fans, because we kind of are that way. I think Camp's probably our buddy Camp's probably the only one that kind of sticks out a little bit. I think he's a little bit more on the other side of the fence. But I mean, altogether, we're old-fashioned baseball fans. We want to see the game for its natural beauty and not this new rules and new craziness and the new flashiness and throwing the bat and wearing these big earrings and diamond earrings while they're playing, and that doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
It just angers me. Someone throws the bat, I'm like, oh, this guy, here we go. But then again, it's like I said, another way to market,
Yeah, I understand why people love it so much. We are certainly in the minority with people that with baseball fans that don't like this stuff. I think the wide majority of baseball fans actually do like this stuff. Listen, you can throw the bat if you want, but like you said before, you should have come up to the plate, the next at bat expecting a ball at your head or at your back. That's just the way it is. Especially with a game that you fail, so many times. I mean, that pitcher is going to get you more times than you're going to get him. So I would be careful with how much you start celebrating there. I do like a little bit of it. Some of it's, some of it I'll allow. There's some bat flips and some showing of emotion that I don't hate. I think that, like you said, with Tim Anderson, Jose Bautista, I think that goes way too far. And Jose Bautista got a little bit, Odor got a little revenge on him. But I'm not totally opposed to it. And I understand, like you said, why I can see it as a marketing tactic. These guys are really, really exciting, and they're clearly excited about their sport. But overall, I'm not a big fan of it. I wish that it would at least slow down. I think that everyone's just trying to top each other now. Who has the best bat flip? It's going to get to the point where the guy's just going to throw the bat at the pitcher.
Yeah, that's what we always said. Yeah, it was just going to helicopter the bat at the pitcher, and that's just going to be that's just going to be fine.
Yeah,
but you can't throw a ball off but if you try retaliating with the ball and try pegging the guy, it's like, oh, you can't do that. You're getting suspended.
Yeah,
just a bat at my head. No, he's good.
Yeah. I don't understand why the retaliation is so frowned upon. I mean, they see the argument that I see a lot is, well, if say the batter hits a home run, he flips his bat and he kind of gives you, not necessarily gives you a stare down, but say he just flips the bat, goes around the bases and whatever. Comes up next at bat, the pitcher strikes out. They say, well, you have just the same right as the pitcher to pump your fist and be a big showman on the mound. But what is that? That doesn't accomplish anything. Then everyone's just every at bat and every batter is just going to be jumping around and acting like a maniac. I don't.
The pitcher strikes you out. He just throws his glove at you.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't, or he walks up to you.
Mm.
He walks up to you while you're walking off the field, and he's like, "Yeah, nice swing, idiot."
Yeah.
It's just.
It's so passive aggressive.
It just doesn't make sense. I just don't like the flipping of the bat. I do like a more classy approach to it, like Pujols.
Yeah.
There's no real bat flip, but that's his same strut, his same home run sequence where he kind of hits it and does that short little walk and then kind of just has that small little toss of it. That stuff's fine. And if you want to be a little flashy, cool. You want to be a little flashy, that's fine. But if just watch when you're going to be against some of these guys who don't like that and you're going to get that ball at you, or you're going to, cause a problem. Or you might cause a rivalry or a fight. I mean, that's just what you have to be prepared for. So, I mean, I'm not gonna root for it. I'm not gonna root for, the Jose Bautista bat flip or the Carlos Gomez issue from a couple of years ago. I'm not gonna root for that. But I'm not gonna tell you that it can't happen ever. I just want you to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
That's pretty much where we're at, and that's kind of where we're at, and everything. As this whole episode was, we kind of talked about the fact that we're more old-fashioned, and I think in a lot of some of these topics, I think we're in the majority. This topic here with the bat flip, we're definitely in the minority.
Yeah, which is surprising to me. I'm surprised there's not as many old heads. Especially because baseball has an older viewership. I'm surprised that we're in the minority in that. You'd think people would want the game to stay a little bit more competitive like that.
I think in the social view, we're in the minority.
Yeah.
But the overall group, the overall fan base, I bet you it's pretty close.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Social media, obviously, you're not going to have your grandpa on social media, tweeting like, "Hey, Jose, but stop flipping the bat, stupid." You're not going to get that from grandpa, Yeah. But but there's a lot of older fans out there who don't like that. But on the social view, and the social media, we're definitely in the minority.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a marketing thing, and I think that's what baseball is pushing is for its marketing with it. But we'll see. I think it could. I think it's weird because it could definitely progress to something crazy with someone throwing a bat like a maniac or something crazy, and a big brawl starts, and then who doesn't like a big brawl? The whole team like that. So I mean, I'm all for that, but I'm not a fan of flashiness, and personally never played the game that way or any game that way, and I'm all for intensity and crazy. Make the big play, you pump your fist, make a diving play, and get up and start yelling, "Let's go!" Stuff like that, pumping your crowd up, pumping your dugout up. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But the straight trash talk and the big bat flips and the showing somebody up, just not a fan of that.
Yeah, there's a difference between being excited and trying to get your team fired up and your fans fired up, and straight up disrespecting the other team. There's a fine line you can walk there, and a lot of guys go right over it. So with that, I think unless you've got any final notes, that's all I've got. Some good topics here we covered.
Well, I mean, I think all that's pretty much it. I think it gives our opinions and some information on what baseball is right now. Some rules that you might not know, or some ideas that they've been talked about that you might not know. Gives you our opinions on baseball, where it's at. So it was a good episode. It's definitely an information episode for our listeners, and when the season starts, you'll kind of know when events are happening, kind of what side we're going to fall on, so you kind of know what you're going to listen to. So I think it's good for it's good for the viewers. You kind of know what side we're going to be on. But other than that, I think the only thing I really have left is our weekly trivia question.
Yep. Yeah, hit us with it.
And this week's trivia question, as you'll see on Twitter and Facebook, is the question is what was the date, or when was the first professional baseball game played? And make sure you understand, when was the first professional baseball game played? Because the first baseball game is a little bit different, but the first professional baseball game was played on May 4th, 1869.
Long time ago.
Yes. So we record on Mondays, so we're actually recording right now on May 4th. So it was played on May 4th, 1869. It was the first professional baseball game because the Cincinnati Red Stockings, who was the first professional baseball team, had a roster of their 9 players, 9 or 10 or so, who were paid. They got compensation for playing. So if you get paid to do something, then you're a professional.
Yeah.
So they got paid to do it, and they played a game against another Cincinnati team, I believe, who was an amateur team, and they beat the snot out of them. They won 45-9. And they went on that year to travel the country and play other amateur teams, and they played like 57 games, and they were 57-0. So they were professional compared to some of the amateur teams that they played against. But yeah, so we're on that anniversary of the first professional baseball game.
That was all the way back when like foul balls weren't strikes.
I believe it was what was it? 8 balls to walk somebody, and and 4 strikes or 5 strikes to strike somebody out, or something crazy like that.
And wasn't it like a hit by pitch was only a ball? You didn't even take your base.
Yeah, you take your base. Obviously, there's no helmet. That, yeah.
Yeah, you just keep pegging the guy.
Yeah, you just keep pegging. Yeah, 8 times just to walk him. And how you like that? How you like that? How you like that? Just
one after another.
Yeah, but yeah, that's our trivia question this week, and you guys will see it. You guys obviously seen it on our Twitter and Facebook. So yeah, it's another long ago fact for you in baseball. Just tells you how far back baseball goes.
Yeah, got the most history out of any sport, I'd say, 100%.
It's pastime for a reason,
Yeah. Yeah, cool. All right, well, that I think wraps up our episode here. We'll come at you next week with another topic, and we'll keep the content rolling here. We're not sure as of yet what the roadmap is going to be for the next few episodes, but we're going to maybe talk about a little bit of fantasy stuff. Hopefully, I think we're going to get an update soon with baseball, hopefully imminently, because I know they're talking late June, July area for the season. So we should get an announcement relatively soon. That would be very exciting. We'll talk about that. But we'll keep it, we'll decide what we're going to do, and we'll keep content rolling out. So I guess until then, you can follow me on Twitter at RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Twitter and at FL10.
You can follow the official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow the official Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Take care.